Welcome to BOJTV's Trending News for top stories in local, regional and international news, as well as your sports and local forecast. I'm Carla. Coming up in our local trending news, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government will do everything in its power to support dancehall music in Jamaica. 5 men charged with illegal firearms seized in Trelawney to appear in court this week. Landlords should be registered before renting a property, rent board cautions, and government unions are still awaiting a definite pipeline from Gisco and Alpart. Now the news in detail. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says that he would not stand idly and allow dancehall music to deteriorate in depravity. Instead, he will do everything in his power to enable it to thrive. Prime Minister Holness, who was speaking at the civic ceremony to commemorate the centenary of the life of a Jamaican icon, Louise Bennett Coverley, in Gordontown, St Andrew on Sunday, says he would love to see people enjoying themselves right back until 5 a.m. the following day if possible. But the music business is not a one-sided affair, and the government has to consider citizens who complain about the effects of the noise. According to Mr Holness, the state cannot just stand by and allow the culture to degenerate. The state has to work in support of those people who are willing to see the longevity of the culture. And Prime Minister Andrew Holness says that there has been no report of Jamaican deaths as a result of Hurricane Dorian's impact on the Bahamas. Prime Minister Holness said the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade has been updated on the situation with Jamaicans in the most impacted areas in the Bahamas. Mr Holness was delivering a statement to the House of Representatives yesterday, Tuesday, September 10. He said Jamaica is assisting in the relief and reconstruction efforts, noting that assessments done to date indicate predominantly humanitarian needs, including safe drinking water, shelter, and support for measures to restore power and access. Mr Holness noted that the Red Cross is providing the support services to deal with those who have experienced trauma. 5 men who were arrested in connection with the seizure of an illegal firearm and several rounds of ammunition in Zion District in Trelawney on August 30 have been charged by the Trelawney Police and are booked to appear in the gun court this week. Facing charges of illegal possession of firearm and ammunition are 54 years old Rged Gray of Mandeville in Manchester, 45 years old Tristan Smith of Dunkins in Trelawney, 25 years old Orlando Richards of Greenvale in Mandeville, 44 years old William Patterson of Toll Gate in Clarendon, and 39 years old Franklin Gross of Hanbury Road in Mandeville. Reports by the police are that on August 30th, a team of police were on patrol in Zion District when they say the men travelling on board a motor car signalled to stop. One of the men threw away an object and the vehicle sped away. The object was retrieved and found to be a Taurus 9mm pistol fitted with a magazine containing 15 rounds. The vehicle was also intercepted and all 5 men arrested and subsequently charged. They are to appear in gun court tomorrow. Neither the government nor the trade unions representing employees at Gisco Alpart Bauxite Refinery in Nain, St. Elizabeth, are yet in a position to give details on the timeline for upgrading the plant. However, both have accepted the company's position that the refinery cannot continue operating under current internal and external conditions and are prepared to pursue discussions on its approach to the project while a feasibility study of the plant is conducted. Minister of Transport and Mining Robert Montague told his colleagues in the House of Representatives yesterday that while his ministry has been aware of the negative effects that the closure will have on Jamaican economy as well as the surrounding communities and the employees, he was not in a position to give any further details than those released last week. The mining ministry had confirmed last week that the second phase of the modernization and expansion project would commence by October. The ministry also conceded that the upgrade will result in laying off of most of the staff at the refinery, but gave assurances that it will keep a percentage of the workforce for maintenance and execution of the modernization. Director of the Rent Assessment Board, Shanice Headlam, is encouraging landlords and tenants to exercise diligence when negotiating rental agreements. Tenants and landlords should ensure that a written agreement is drafted because sometimes things that were not initially agreed on are brought into play. Both persons should understand that the contract is staying and a formal agreement made before the tenancy starts, she stated. Tenants should also find out if the landlord is registered with the Rent Assessment Board because an 1983 Rent Act stipulates that all landlords should be registered, she emphasized. Landlords not registered are deemed in breach of the law and risk being convicted by a parish judge and fined. Those were your top stories making local trending news. Now join our news from across the region as well as our international stories. From across the region, an earthquake with a magnitude of a 4.4 rattled Trinidad and Tobago Tuesday night, the second quake to have rocked the Caribbean island within a 24-hour period. The Seismic Research Centre SRC at the St. Augustine campus of the University of the West Indies said the quake occurred at 9:31 p.m. local time and was located latitude 10.79 north, longitude 62.06 west, and at a depth of 35 kilometers. It said that the quake was felt 61 kilometers west of the capital of Port of Spain, 86 kilometers northwest of the southern town of San Fernando, and 87 kilometers west of Arima, east of Port of Spain. As in the previous occasion on Monday, when the island and two other Caribbean countries were rattled by a 4.2 magnitude earthquake, there was no immediate reports of damage or injuries. In international news, the body of Zimbabwe's longtime ruler Robert Mugabe has been flown to the capital, Harare, today, where it will be displayed at historic locations for several days before burial, at a location still unannounced, indicating a friction between the ex-leader's family and the government. Mugabe, who died at 95 in Singapore hospital on Friday, was a guerrilla leader who led the fight to end white minority rule in what was then Rhodesia and ruled Zimbabwe from its independence in 1980 until he was disposed in 2017. During his 37-year authoritarian leadership, Zimbabwe descended from prosperity to economic crisis, marked by hyperinflation, unemployment, and a drastic drop in conditions for its 16 million people. Current President Emmerson Mnangagwa, who was Mugabe's closest ally and vice president before ousting him with the military, is expected to meet the plane when it lands in Harare, carrying Mugabe's body, his widow Grace, and other family members. Over in our sporting report, Christian Coleman has hit out at disrespectful fake fans and vowed he will never fail a drug test in his life after being cleared to compete in the World Athletics Championships in Doha. Coleman was facing a potential 2-year ban of the United States Anti-Doping Agency USADA last month, charged the sprinter for missing 3 random drug tests in the space of a year. USADA withdrew the charges after receiving guidance from the World Anti-Doping Agency over whether Coleman missed the tests. The 23-year-old maintained his innocence throughout and today defended himself as he prepares to go for 100 meters gold in Qatar. He posted on Instagram, "I put my heart and soul into track and field and worked hard to get where I am today. It's simply disrespectful and fake fans speculate and talk about drugs in relation to the great athletes we have in this sport. It does nothing but hold the sport back for the popularity I know it can reach in the future." On our local forecast, insignificant feature, a broad trough across the central Caribbean. The trough is projected to move across the island throughout today and be to the west by tomorrow. Afterwards, a tropical wave is expected to move across Jamaica on Thursday night, with a high-pressure ridge then expected to briefly build across the island on Friday. The forecast for this afternoon will see some scattered showers and thunderstorms across sections of most parishes, with activity peaking across northern parishes. Tonight, partly cloudy. Maximum temperature expected for Kingston as well as Montego Bay today is 33 degrees Celsius. That was BOJTV's Trending News, your top local, regional and international stories, as well as a sports report and weather forecast. Until next time, I'm Carla. Thanks for watching.